Today, I will be presenting my crime scene analysis of the Riverside apartment homicide. This case involves the death of Michael Fox and the forensic evidence used to determine what happened and who was responsible. Summary of the crime. This case involves a victim, Michael Fox, who was found inside his apartment near the coffee table in the living room. The scene immediately showed signs of a violent struggle, and investigators focused on two main suspects throughout the investigation. Walk-through observations. When investigators first entered the apartment, the front door was partially open. Michael Fox was found lying face down with visible blood present. There was multiple signs of struggle, including an overturned chair, a broken lamp, and a broken glass on the floor. These observations suggested the incident was not accidental. The coroner determined that the cause of death was cranial trauma from blunt force injury. The victim also had defense wounds on his hands and wrists, along with bruising on his forearms and upper body. These injuries indicate that Michael Fox struggled with his attacker before his death. Forensic interpretation. Based on the injuries, it is clear that the victim fought back during the attack. The multiple impacts to the head suggest a violent assault rather than an accident. The scene is consistent with a physical confrontation, and the estimated time of death is reported by witness statements. Rough sketch analysis. The rough sketch shows the layout of the apartment crime scene. The victim is located in the living room near the coffee table, and most of the evidence is concentrated in that area. There is also evidence leading towards the kitchen, which suggests movement during or after the struggle. Sketch comparison. Compared to the textbook forensic sketches, this diagram includes labeled evidence such as blood, glass, doors, and windows. However, it does not include a scale which limits accuracy. Even so, it still helps visualize how the crime scene was organized. Shoe impression evidence. One key piece of evidence was a partially bloody shoe impression found near the kitchen entrance. It was identified as a size 11 athletic shoe with a herringbone tread pattern. Wear patterns matched those of suspect Daniel Brooks, which strongly suggests his presence at the scene. Broken wine glass. A broken wine glass was found near the overturned chair. The fragments were scattered in a way that suggests a struggle took place. This spread of glass pieces supports the idea that the disturbance happened during a physical confrontation. Fingerprint evidence. Fingerprints were recovered from a drinking glass near the victim. A partial loop pattern was identified and matched to the suspect's fingerprint samples. This places the suspect directly at the crime scene near the victim. Not useful evidence. The victim's footwear comparison was not useful because it did not match the shoe impression found at the scene. This only helped eliminate the victim as the source of footprint, but did not help identify the suspect. Initial assumptions. Some initial interpretations of the scene suggested uncertainty about whether the event was accidental or intentional. However, further forensic analysis confirmed that the injuries and evidence point to a violent assault. Suspect 1, Daniel Brooks. Daniel Brooks is a former co-worker of the victim. He had financial disputes and workplace conflict with Michael Fox. Phone records show contact between them before the incident, and his shoe pattern matches the evidence found at the scene. Suspect 2, Jessica Lane. Jessica Lane is the victim's former girlfriend. She had a financial and personal dispute with him. Her statements changed during questioning, and phone records show multiple missed calls, which makes her a possible secondary suspect. Witness timeline. A neighbor reported hearing a loud argument at approximately 8:15 p.m., followed by sounds of furniture being moved and glass breaking. First responders arrived at 8:31 p.m. and found the victim already dead. Timeline summary. The timeline shows that the argument began around 8:15 p.m. The struggle likely occurred between 8:20 and 8:25. The body was discovered at 8:31 p.m. and the investigation began shortly after. Final conclusion. Based on the evidence, the victim died from blunt force trauma during a violent struggle. The most likely perpetrator is Daniel Brooks due to the physical evidence and motive. Evidence supporting conclusion. This conclusion is supported by several key pieces of evidence. The shoe impression matches Daniel Brooks, fingerprints place him at the scene, and witness statements confirm a confrontation before the death. He also had a clear motive related to financial and workplace conflict. Limitations. There were some limitations in this investigation. Some evidence was only partially matched. The timeline was based on witness reports and not all evidence provided direct identification. However, there was still enough evidence to reach a reasonable conclusion.